Hello. The imbalance of power between master and servant must have led to many abuses in the past. A Master and Servant Act of 1823 classified disobedience from a servant as an indictable offence. Jonathan Swift, satirical tongue firmly in cheek, counselled housemaids in directions to servants. "My lord may probably like you. In this case, take care to get as much out of him as you can, and never allow him the smallest liberty, not the squeezing of a hand unless he puts a guinea into it." He goes on to suggest, 5 guineas for touching your breast is a cheap pennyworth, although you seem to resist with all your might, but never allow him the last favour under 100 guineas or a settlement of £20 a year for life. Servants, particularly junior servants, had precious little agency before the protection offered by modern labour laws, which from the 1870s began to introduce legal safeguards. Behind closed doors much would have been hidden from view. Cecil Francis Alexander's words to all things bright and beautiful include, "The rich man in his castle, the poor man at his gate. God made them high and lowly, and ordered their estate." A rather controversial stanza, usually omitted in hymnals, with its implication that individuals are born into their position in life, rich and poor, master and servant, as some part of a divine plan for organising society, a sentiment that may have comforted the privileged. I won't go into the details of the allegations of debauchery made against Lord Castlehaven by his wife and son. Suffice to say, he appeared before the Privy Council in 1631, was convicted on several counts of sexual misconduct and sentenced to death. 3 of his servants were implicated and met the same fate. More formal and permanent arrangements, marrying beneath one's class as the phrase had it, crossing the divide between upstairs and downstairs, was frowned upon as a scandalous breach of society's unwritten rules. In Hamlet, Ophelia encourages the singing of a ballad which includes the refrain, "It is the false steward that stole his master's daughter." In 1553, the widowed Duchess of Suffolk, Catherine Brandon, caused a stir by marrying her usher, Richard Bertie. An usher in a Tudor household held a senior position between the steward as head of the domestic household and the ordinary servants. Her stepdaughter, Frances Grey of Bradgate House in Leicestershire, who succeeded her stepmother as Duchess of Suffolk, married her master of horse, Adrian Stokes. In 1792, Sir Henry Harper of Cork Abbey, possibly the richest man in Georgian Derbyshire, married Anne Hawkins, one of the maids. When the marriage of Frederick, Earl of Berkeley Castle in Gloucestershire, to lady's maid Mary Cole was recorded in 1785, she had already borne him 6 children and was pregnant with number 7. Dispute over the date of the marriage and questions of illegitimacy dogged successor to the title. At the age of 70, Sir Harry Fanshawe of Uppark House in West Sussex married his dairymaid Mary Ann Bullock, lived to the age of 92, and in his will left everything to Mary Ann. In his play The Beau's Stratagem, first produced in 1707, set in Lichfield, George Farquhar touches on master-servant relationships and social status. Cherry, an innkeeper's daughter, is offered in marriage to a gentleman guest. The deal comes with a very generous dowry of £2,000. The response Farquhar puts in the mouth of the prospective husband, one of his key characters, Francis Archer, described as a gentleman of broken fortunes, is, "Let me see, £2,000. If the wench would promise to die when the money was spent, egad, one would marry her, but the fortune may go off in a year or 2, and the wife may live Lord knows how long. Then, an innkeeper's daughter. Aye, that's the devil. There my pride brings me off." In She Stoops to Conquer, first performed in 1773, Oliver Goldsmith pokes fun at such social mores by the disdainful way Kate Hardcastle and her wealthy father are treated by a pair of gentlemen guests who mistake their house for an inn, Mr. Hardcastle for the landlord and Kate for a barmaid. As late as 1902, James Barrie in the admirable Crichton, who intended that Crichton, the resourceful butler to Lord Loam who takes command after the family and servants are shipwrecked on a desert island, would end up marrying Lady Mary Lazenby, decided such an ending would be too controversial and unacceptable to the play-going public. On the subject of plays, well into the 19th century, appearing on stage was seen as a barely respectable occupation for a woman. Next time, the story of actress Maria Foote and how she and her husband were shunned by high society after her marriage to Charles Stanhope, 4th Earl of Harrington in 1831, and their creation of a private landscaped stage set hidden from public view at Elverston Castle in Derbyshire. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.